It's Riley.
It's Sloan.
It's Briar. Hang on to your broomsticks. It's about to get eerie.
Today's episode could contain themes and elements uncomfortable to some listeners. Please check the episode description and remember to always take care of yourself.
So, keeping up with the holiday spirit, I've brought a little creature to the table.
Okay, little creature.
Creatures, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. They are the Kallikantzaroi, or Kallikantzaroi is the singular version. And they are mischievous little Greek goblins.
Alright. I got the creepy at goblins is good enough.
Oh, you'll even love it, because in some cultures, they are either elves or gnomes.
Yeah, see, I just don't do gnomes.
You never liked
Unless
gnomes?
they're Romeo and Juliet's, like, okay in my book. Anything else?
Where did that come from?
What?
That you're scared of gnomes?
I don't know, I just don't like the little things. They're creepy.
Well, I think you're safe, because most of what I saw, they're goblin-like creatures.
Yay!
But they are mischievous little goblins, and they come up to the surface of the earth during the 12 days of Christmas. So from December 25th to January 6th. These 12 days are also known as the winter solstice, or Yuletide. And these are a little bit of trouble boogers, little troublemakers.
Little snots.
Because they only come up for the 12 days, and they spend the rest of the year, down at the center of the earth, spending their time cutting the world tree, or the tree of life, with a giant saw.
So they're just like...
We're gonna make it end.
They're just down there working away, trying to end it all, and then they're like, you know what?
It's Christmas time.
It's holiday. It's like a factory shutdown. Let's go up.
Little
and
vacation.
Wreak some havoc.
Need a vacation. But they are said to be small black creatures, covered in hair, mostly blind, long black tails, with goat or donkey ears, red eyes, monkey arms, tongues that hang out, and huge heads. And they are all male. From everything I read, they are all male.
Now I understand.
But all I imagine are these little
goblins.
Creatures with these giant donkey ears sticking.
And long skinny tails, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their tongues hang out.
Yeah, some things I was reading also depict them as little devils. Like what you picture as a devil.
Okay.
That's what they look like.
Because at first I'm thinking of like a little gremlin.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, little things. How little? Did it say? Or just says little?
Actually, I saw some stuff and it was saying little, like, if you think of, a lot of them compared them to leprechauns.
Okay.
Or imps.
I feel like that still doesn't give me a reference.
I'm thinking about 3 feet.
Okay.
3 feet in height type deal.
Because at first I was thinking like a little tiny...
Like dog size. Like a little
something. Like a little... Bigger than a chinchilla, but same shape.
Yes. Yeah.
But also, there was some stories, because in different cultures and in different countries, they have different ones. Like, there's some that make them seem giant. Like, almost like trolls or ogres. But then most of them are little goblin-sized creatures. But what's something else that's funny about them is they apparently speak with a lisp.
It's because their tongues stick out.
They have the giant tongues.
They can't help it.
They also eat small creatures such as worms, snails, and frogs.
My frogs ain't safe.
Or your snails.
My snails.
Oh, your snails.
my
snails.
They're like, snails.
So do they speak like
what
human
language?
words? Yeah, like
Elvish.
I couldn't find anything about anybody having an encounter. I did find something a little bit, and it was they will ask you questions, and you have to answer them correctly, or bad things will happen to you, but I saw that in one thing I read. And apparently you have to use the word black in your answer.
Okay. Does that what kind of questions?
No, just any question, but you have to answer with the word black.
These are a lot of rules. for these little creepy creatures. I'm just going to yeet them across
That's
the
what I was
room.
supposed to say. I was like, if they come up to me and they're
I'm just
actually
gonna
like little, I'll punch them right in the face. What are they going to do? Grab their tongue with your shirt?
I'd be like, what are you going to do now? Lisping Letha?
Oh.
Give me your tongue.
Yeah, yes, the give me your tongue thing.
Oh. But they only come out at night because they are afraid of the sun. They are also afraid of fire and holy water.
Oh, because they're evil.
Evil little devils.
Evil little devils.
Okay.
This next part kind of makes it hard to say what size they are because they enter houses any way that they can, whether it's through windows, down chimneys, through keyholes, and any crack that they can find in the walls or around the doors.
They're just like raccoons.
Yeah, but I'm
like
like, how
raccoons
tiny
couldn't-
you have to be to
Yeah.
go through a keyhole?
Well, it was interesting because the first description made me think of like moles. Because you said they can't see, right?
Yeah, they're mostly
so then I was
blonde.
like, oh, they're like little moles. So then if they're like rats or mice, they can squeeze through stuff.
Just squeeze themselves in. But
Now I'm just picturing big mice.
Yeah.
Big mice with long tongues and lisps.
and donkey ears.
Yeah, donkey ears.
But once they are inside your home, they just start causing all sorts of trouble. So you don't want them in your house.
How do you prevent them from getting in your house? Oh, I bet you'll get to that.
I will.
I'm jumping. I'm like, I don't want no goblins in my house.
Yeah, I have a whole list of ways you
Okay.
keep them at bay.
Good. So get your notebooks ready.
Take some notes.
Take some notes. Nobody wants goblins.
But also something about them is that a lot of people see them as these evil creatures, but they're actually considered impish and stupid.
Oh.
And some of the things I was reading, they are very stupid.
Oh.
So they're just like a nuisance. They
Yeah.
just get up in your house and they're just like
Messing
messing
stuff
up,
up.
and you're like, God, these goblins, man.
That is how it seemed, and because when I was reading at first, it made them seem like evil things, that they do all this terrible stuff, and then I was reading some of the stuff they do, and I'm like, this ain't evil, this is just annoying. Like you said, they're just a little nuisance.
Briar, are you a goblin?
I'm offended.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Sloan's a goblin. Continue.
Thanks for that.
Is she wrong?
Oh.
No. There's also a bunch of other stories about creepy Christmas imps or demons in other cultures. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, but it says on the 12th day they appear as werewolves or witches or even other creatures. Which, I don't know what it is with creatures becoming werewolves. Because back to the vampire podcast episode, like, most of them would turn into a werewolf if they got killed. And I was like, does everything just turn into a werewolf somehow?
It's time to be a werewolf.
Let's go.
That's kind of interesting since they're a creature of their own. So why would they pretend to be something else?
Yeah.
Or turn into it?
Yeah, that's what.
Or is it like they're growing? Like a gremlin. Let me right back to a gremlin. So they just wreak havoc and then they evolve. And they can either be a witch or a werewolf.
Don't feed them past midnight.
Yeah. Don't get them wet. Don't feed them after midnight.
Which, that's when I was looking into that. Everybody was comparing them to gremlins from the movie.
Oh, so see, that's what, because when you say it, I was like, that's what I'm picturing. A little like that.
Yeah, but
And they were
black and hairy.
They were kind of stupid, weren't they? And just kind of like mean.
Yeah, just caused a bunch of trouble.
Yeah.
Going into the origins, there's really nothing set in stone about where these creatures came from, but I was able to find some stuff. Some believe that they were inspired by annual festivals that happened in Greek and Roman cultures. There's one festival, and it's in Rome, and it's called the Festival of Baccanalia. If I mispronounced that, I apologize. But it was a festival, and people would wear beast-like costumes and masks. So scary masks and stuff of non-human figures. And they were rowdy and drunk and causing all sorts of little mischief. And this was funny to me. Engaging in physical adventures with more than one person at a time.
Oh.
So, happy fun time.
These little creatures? Wait, no, this is the people dressing.
Yeah, at the festival. This festival
Okay,
in
I was
Rome.
like, them gremlins getting crazy. But now it's them people getting crazy. When did this take place again? It's all in Yule season, right? Even that festival?
For this festival in particular, it just said Winter Festival. I don't know if it happened during Yule time or actually the 12 days of Christmas. They just believe that maybe this festival inspired this story of these goblins.
Because it reminds me a lot of when I was doing some of my research on the Yule lads, it talks about a lot of these other places, their Christmassy Yuletide traditions always really resemble like Halloween celebrations because they dress up a lot and they always have the creepy mask and they party. Yeah, which I thought was interesting, and that's what this is. That doesn't sound like happy holidays.
Just partying it up,
getting wild on Halloween. But I thought it was the winter time, so I thought it was interesting. It's just another one to add to that list of wild Yuletide festivals.
Absolutely. Because the other festival is the Festival of Dinosaurs, which is the Greek god of theater. It took place in March and was centered around theatrical performances. So still dressing up in costumes, but it was more a theatrical way of celebrating the Greek god. But these were the only two that I found that kind of makes it seem that they're not real. They were just based off of events. The rest of them are basically saying they are children or people that turned into the Kallikantzaroi.
So are they like little mischievous kids? Kids that go bad?
Kind of, but not really. It was saying that children born between the 12 days of Christmas are in danger of becoming one.
Okay.
Also, apparently, if you are born on a Saturday during the holiday season.
Like, holiday season as in, like, starting in October with, like, Halloween? Like, that kind of holiday season? Because, like, I feel like October to December is holiday season.
That's what, I don't know. It just said holiday season. That's all it was saying was just holiday season. It didn't say Christmas season. It just said a Saturday and a holiday.
Well, to be safe, anybody born on Saturday will just say, we can't be friends. You can't sit with us, what's the Kallikantzaroi?
Kallikantzaroi.
Kallikantzaroi.
Or Kallikantzaros.
Kallikantzaroi. There we go. Okay.
That's singular. Okay. But also, there was another thing saying that children born on Christmas Day that became jealous of Jesus getting all the limelight on their birthday turned into these little goblins.
Okay, I kind of like that story. Just because that's a nice little element of...
Well, honestly, that one made the most sense to me than not just being born within the 12 days or on a Saturday. It was like, oh, they're being jealous, and they turn into these little jealous creatures. Goblins. Which also, it made sense because they cause so much mischief on Christmas and during Christmas holiday. So they're like, that's a big F-U.
Yeah, they're trying to ruin. They're like, if Christmas can't be all about us, then we're gonna ruin Christmas.
Yeah, my birthday didn't revolve around me, so we're making this happen. So that one made the most sense to me of where these little creatures come from.
That's a good origin story. I would take that one.
So there was one place I found, they actually had a list of different Kallikantzaros and their names and specifically what they did. So I'm not sure. I couldn't find any pronunciations for these names, so I almost thought they weren't real at first. But then finding another website that had some of the names too, I'm just going to go with it because also they're pretty funny. And I want people to know, especially know what to watch out for. So starting off, there's Katachanas, and he's just a glutton. He eats anything that he sees and anything that he wants, and just can't stop eating, and he also stinks really bad.
Okay.
And apparently I saw one place says that he likes to burp, and if you smell his burp, it is horrendous.
It is still reminding me of Gremlins. Because is there not one of the Gremlins who, once they go bad, he's like burping and he's like nasty?
Yeah, I think there is a scene, especially I think there's a scene where he's drinking the beer right out of the tap and his belly's just getting huge. Honestly, it could be. They could have based Gremlins off of these.
Maybe a little bit of the story thrown in there. But a lot of times there's overlap in some of these, so it could just be one of those coincidences. But I still just keep imagining the little Gremlins gone bad with these little guys.
I'm kind of mad at myself. I should have looked into that to see what the Gremlins were based off of.
Because it sounds so similar.
Yeah. The second one is Magaras. And he has a big, fat, drum-like belly and leaves terrible, filthy smells all over people's food.
Ew.
Like, it wasn't on their furniture or anything. It just said food.
What? How? Okay. Questions. So many questions. What kind of smells? How does he leave them on the food?
Just bad smells. It did not go into it.
I need to know. I need to know how he's putting these smells on our food.
I wonder if he can, like, spoil the food.
That is one thing, now that you mention that, it did say one of their powers, I guess, was spoiling food. So maybe that is.
Because I'm imagining him putting some sort of secretion.
He rubs his armpits on it.
I don't know. He could have
like
taken
the Grinch with the onion. Then there's Malaganas. And apparently he is a very slick one. And he craves attention, and he does anything that he can to get it. But he will deceive children with sweet and kind words, and while he's doing that, he will steal their candy.
Okay, I kind of like him.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
I was like, okay, I mean, you're working. You got it. There you go.
Doing what he's got to do. Smarter, not harder. Make them think they're your friends, and then steal their candies.
Or sweets. So it said candy or sweets. Then there's Mantra Kukos, but also apparently goes by the names Protos or Kotsos. He's apparently the chief of all of them. And he is stocky, short-legged, ugly and clumsy, and dangerous to know. And his favorite thing to do is he hides away during the daytime, and when he comes out at night, he teases women. Just likes to tease them.
I think I worked with him before.
That was funny to me, and because all I was thinking of just this random goblin just teasing women.
Yeah.
And women going by like, "That's the best you got." I deal with this on a daily basis. Like, bring it on.
Flipping the bird. Like, I got something for you.
The next one, he's probably honestly my favorite because I feel bad for him. Copsomesitis. And his description, this is the only description I found of him. He's a lame hunchback with a weakness for pancakes with honey.
Oh. He just wants a little snack.
It's like, I'll give you pancakes and honey, bud. Like, just come here.
Poor little fella.
It's like with your Yule lads. I was like, I'd give him, just help him out. Help him out.
Snack. Goblins need love too.
Leave the goblins alone.
Leave the goblins alone.
This one, like you mentioned, Riley, with the secretion of some sort.
Oh.
Malaperdas. Apparently, if a housewife forgets to put the lid on a pot or pan of food that is cooking, he takes that chance and pees in the food.
No.
I don't even have words. We went from little sweet hunchback just wanting some pancakes and honey to a pot pisser.
Yep.
Let's call it what it is. This goblin does not get no special treatment.
So, to anybody listening out there, make sure you keep your lids on your pots.
And I bet that little gremlin just stands there laughing. I hope he burns his toes. Or his little goblin pee-pee off. Peeing in my pots.
Not only your pots, your food that's cooking.
Yeah! We never put a lid on our pan. That's why I'm a little salty.
It doesn't need it.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know how to see him. His name is Kallikantzaroi, and his description is he is as long as a string of macaroni.
Wait, what? That's like up for interpretation.
That was the description, so I was like, is he tiny? What is...
Because you can make a string of macaroni. Are we saying... Okay, so were we saying you buy a standard box of macaroni noodles, and if you strung them up, that would be the length? Because you could technically make it 100 feet if you wanted.
Yeah, I don't know. But...
Wait, and he's the length? He's as long as...
Yeah, long as a string of macaroni. He also has a tail that ends in an arrow. And he can easily pass through keyholes, colander holes, and he is extremely agile and fast.
So I'm thinking he's the size of a macaroni noodle.
That's kind of what I was thinking, because if he can fit through keyholes or colander holes...
So he's little.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if, like, they all come different shapes and sizes? So you got little macaroni noodle dude over here, and he slips through the keyhole and manages to open the door to let the other ones in.
Or unless they're shapeshifters, and he can get himself to get
and he
through.
Just likes to live in macaroni form?
I guess.
Are we thinking Kraft macaroni where they're straight? Are we thinking elbow macaroni?
I'm thinking, like, elbow macaroni. I think he's got a hunchback, too.
Yes, and he's, like, what's the guy in Monsters, Inc., Sid? The one that's camouflage?
Randall.
Randall.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Sid the Sloth. Getting my babies. I'm old.
And he has a lisp. Does anybody love Sid the Sloth?
I don't know why I'm picturing the hormone monsters from Big Mouth, but specifically the old one. I can't think of his name. Rick. Yeah. And he... I don't know why I just pictured him.
What are you gonna do?
No, he's the one that wants pancakes and honey.
Oh.
Oh. But then you have Paroidis. That one's a hard one. But he has a long, soft nose like an elephant.
No.
And he shows up shortly before the rooster crows. He's late to the show.
It's because that nose is...
Dragon. But apparently he has a great talent of mimicking people's voices.
That's kind of creepy.
That's kind of... If they're shapeshifters, that makes me think of, What are they?
Skinwalkers?
Yes, skinwalkers. There we go. I could not think of that.
Yeah.
Which I did see one story as I was looking up research was that they will call out your name or they will use the voice of a dead loved one to try to get you out of the house or to open a door to look out to see who it is and then they can run into your house.
That's very creepy. That's kind of right there with that same story. You know, you're out there and you hear someone say your name. You're not supposed to respond.
Yeah, with the skinwalker.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Katsaporodiris or Megas Kallikantzaroi, or, simple terms, Goatfoot.
Goatfoot. We'll go with Goatfoot.
And Goatfoot is apparently the boss of all of them. And he's a vicious, miserable, rude, lazy, and bald goblin with a goat's leg.
Just one?
That's all it's...
What is with the one animalistic foot?
We got goosefoot.
A goosefoot. One goosefoot. One goatfoot.
But he was the only one... If you look up illustrations of them, they tend to be almost like satyrs. But in this description, it was one goat leg.
So maybe he's just missing his other one, so he just got one leg? Or does he have... What's a goblin leg look like? What does a goblin leg look like?
I don't know.
But you said he was the boss.
Yeah.
Of them. So
And I thought we had the chief. One was the chief.
So is he like the boss, and then he like sends the chief to like...
Yeah, like second in command.
Okay.
That's how I thought of it.
Okay.
Was it because he's the lazy one, and he just sends the chief to do all the hard work.
Are they American?
They're Greek.
Oh. That's how American businesses run.
I told you I thought I worked with the other one.
They came this way.
But apparently wherever he goes, he also brings disaster. So he may be lazy, but if he decides to get up and move around, he causes some trouble.
Okay.
Then this is where the names kind of got funny to me. One, apparently, his name is Planetarium, or Planet for short. He deceives people or tricks people because he has the ability to transform into animals.
Oh.
That's why I didn't want to say that at first, but I was like, maybe shape-shifting.
Because maybe they all do. What if it's one?
Just one.
It's just one. There's really just one goblin who is just like, you know what? I'm gonna pretend to be all these characters. He's acting. Acting.
There we go.
It's one person and he just acts as all these goblins.
Well, that's before I found this list, there was a couple different websites and stuff that said there's no amount to how many there are. Like this one where I found this list, it said 20 or more of these little creatures.
I cannot imagine.
And it's all one being played by one.
He just got a bad case of DID.
Then the next one, his name is Slot Machine, or Slot for short. And he has one short arm and one long arm.
It's like Nemo.
And he's so sad, he often becomes confused and falls about all over the place.
Oh.
So he's just trying.
That's pitiful. Did you see pee in my pants?
I don't know.
He better not.
He could pee in your flower beds, though.
Well, I don't have flowers, so
Is that
go
a
for
common
it.
thing for all of them to pee?
It's like the cat's
Pee in the
pooping
flower.
in the neighbor's flower bed. It's fine.
Pee in the flower beds. I think you'll like this one, Bart. Vatrakukas is huge and looks like a frog.
The Loveland Frogs!
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
In winter.
It was in wintertime. The Loveland Frog.
Was the Loveland Frog a goblin?
You tell us.
Stay tuned for a future episode.
Ooh.
Dun-dun-dun.
But anyway, continuing on, there's Katachanas, and he has such big teeth that they hang over his lips.
Aww.
And he likes to make fun of priests.
I take that all back.
And apparently likes to wear a fake priest hat.
So he's not just making fun, he's like mimicking.
Yeah.
He is like...
With his giant buck teeth.
And a fake priest hat. Just running around.
Which that would stick with the kids born on Christmas being jealous of Jesus
Yeah,
and turning into the little goblin.
That would also stick with the one goblin who's just playing all of them. He just puts the priest hat on.
Yes. Oh, like in American Dad. The alien.
Roger.
Roger. I'm all about my references today.
I think we all are.
It's tying in nicely.
The final one, and he also has a big description. His name is Paganos, and apparently he is very lame. And the reason is because he got kicked from a girl Maro's donkey. And apparently he wanted to make Maros his wife, and she was getting chased by him, and she snuck and hid in the flour bags that she had hung on her donkey. And then he got boink.
Kicked by a dog. So when you said lame, I was like a loser, but not lame, like he's like disabled from being kicked by a donkey.
Or something.
Okay.
Or that is the biggest friend zone attempt. Or what's the word I'm looking for?
Rejection?
Rejection, thank you. Biggest rejection ever. But that's the list of the ones that I could find on just the individual ones. Mm-hmm. And even if they're not real or not, I still thought it was funny. And it kind of fit, makes them a little joke.
I like their little stories.
But here's for anybody wanting to protect themselves from the Kallikantzaroi.
Yes, especially that macaroni noodle one. Let me get something to jot this down with, because... Oh, and the one that pees in my pans. I don't want no more goblin pee in my mashed taters.
Oh. Okay. So, one of the first ways is apparently if you leave a colander or a strainer, whichever one you want, on the doorstep of your house, they get the urge to count all the holes.
Okay. Deja vu.
Yes, stay tuned for another future episode, because you will hear that again.
Pretty much with a lot of stuff, it's that. But this goes back to they're a little stupid. They can't count past 2.
Deja vu times 2.
But they can count a little further in the episode I'm talking about.
But one reason is that they can't count past 2 because the number 3 is considered holy.
Okay.
And apparently they will kill themselves before pronouncing the number 3.
So is that what happens? They just go 1, 2, and then off themselves?
They don't say it. If they say it, they will kill themselves.
Why don't they just leave? Just be like, forget it, I'll go to another
Because
house.
they still have that urge to count, so they will just continuously count 1, 2,
Oh, so then they're just stuck in a perpetual loop.
Yep, until the sun comes up. And then they don't cause any mischief.
Yeah, another one.
Another way is marking your door with a black cross on Christmas Eve.
That sounds familiar too. Not from something we've recorded, but like an old wives' tale.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything on it. It just said marking your door with a black cross. And then I read somewhere, I think it said a black go-away goblin cross. So all I was picturing was a black cross with the words go away goblins.
No goblins today!
Another one is if you hang a pig jaw under your chimney. I have no idea why. It could not find an explanation. Just everything was saying pig jaw, pig jaw, pig jaw. And I was like, okay.
Well, okay, at first I was like, the smell. But then I'm like, I don't know, it might smell like bacon.
Yeah.
I don't think smell bothers them.
No, because they make things stink. They'll be like,
But also, I just now thought about this. It's a pig jaw, and the whole not touching the skin of a dead pig on Sundays.
Oh, so that could be another religious tie-in.
Maybe.
But I feel like that might not bother them because they're
so against Christmas.
Maybe they count teeth.
Yeah.
They could.
Count the pig teeth.
Only to 2.
Or if you hang it with teeth up, when they come down that chimney, they land on them teeth, and they're like, ooh.
Or maybe they're scared of pigs.
They could be.
Pigs will eat anything.
That's true. Even a little goblin, I guarantee a pig would eat a goblin.
So they're like, yeah, we're not going to hang out here.
They got a pig in their chimney.
Another way is to burn smelly shoes in the fire.
Well, now I'm just confused. I feel like they'd like that.
Well, I saw something, and apparently they have a really high smell. Like, they can smell a whole lot. That's one of their biggest attributes to them.
Oh, so they're sensitive to smell, and then they're like, we're going to make your life stink.
Yeah. So, if you get a smelly enough shoe, it messes with their nose, and they're like, nope, leaving this house, don't want... Nope.
They're already stinky enough.
Another one, to stop them from coming down the chimney, a large log is found and burned for 12 days until the 6th of January.
Like a Yule log.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what I even wrote that down as ties into the Yule log.
Yep. Because you do that, it keeps Krampus out, keeps evil spirits out in general.
Also, this is probably one of the reasons that the one goblin doesn't like priests, is in Greek folklore, they are frightened away on the 6th of January, which is Epiphany, by Greek priests who go into people's houses and bless them with holy water and fresh basil.
So they don't like them because they send them back, pretty much.
Yes.
They're like, your time is done. No more shenanigans.
You're done.
You're
Yeah,
done.
done. Also, it brings up the movement of the sun on January 6th is when they go back down to the center of the earth.
And start hacking away at the tree of life.
Apparently, there's also the protection ways of keeping your child born on the 12 days or Saturday from becoming one. And it is binding the baby in tresses of garlic or straw.
Okay.
Or singeing/burning the child's toenails in the fire until they turn black.
I have no words.
Because apparently the smell keeps the spirit away.
But their toes.
Toenails.
But how are you going to burn the toenails without the toes?
That's
Have you ever seen a baby toe? Them toenails are tiny. They're like your pinky toe, bro. There's like barely a nail on there.
just a little.
I think I'm just going to wrap my baby in garlic and straw.
Yeah.
Did it say why that keeps them away? I guess because the garlic is...
Strong smell.
And it's also going back to the vampire episode where it's a pure,
Holy, yeah.
pure and holy vegetable. Is it a vegetable or an herb?
It's a root? Shallot? Bulb?
It's a garlic.
It's garlic. It's just garlic.
And then I guess the straw, do you think they count it? It's just extra protection?
Maybe.
I think you're right. I think that's what I read is that they get tempted to count the straw.
Okay.
So it's garlic for the smell and the holiness, and straw for the counting. Just everything
So they don't
all in
latch
one.
themselves on that child. They're like, oh, crap, missed my chance. Bye.
Yeah. I think I would try that before I would burn my baby's toenails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I saw a little goblin, I would, like...
Kick it across the room.
Yeah. We would handle
Spray
that.
it with Febreze.
Huh? Aquanet. Just taking down some big old spiders. You can take down a goblin.
Raid.
On your baby.
No! On the goblins!
Put the goblins on your baby.
Where's your mind at, Riley?
I mean... Grilla ate babies.
Yeah.
No, yes. And what we talked about. Kids.
Under 6.
I also thought this was cool. I was watching some videos on it to see if I could get any more information. And I saw this comment of this person. They said they're Greek, and they put loukoumades on their roof, which are these fried dough balls covered in syrup. And they said they put it on their roof and yell, "Go away, goblins," or "Get out of my house," or something.
And then they paint their big "No Goblin X" cross on their door.
But also, I found something else after that, is that some people put those and sausages on their roof. So the goblins will stay on the roof, eat those, and then leave when the sun comes up.
So they're distracted. They like a little sweet, a little savory.
But something I find funny is that ties in with your Yule lads, the sausage swiper.
Yeah, the sausage swiper. Who would hang out on the rafters to
And
steal your sausages. So, and then they sit on the roof and eat the sausages.
it definitely, and when all this is said and done, they return to the center of Earth where the tree of life has regrown fully, and they have to start over.
No wonder they're so upset. They just try to have a little vacation and then all their work's undone.
Yeah, but it goes back to impish and stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you would think they would stop coming up
Yeah.
if it regrows.
Because then they could make it through, probably.
But I think I read somewhere, like, they also get distracted by counting the leaves during the year on the tree and eating the fruit from the
So
tree
they're
or
not really
something.
successful.
Yeah,
Even if they stayed, it wouldn't really
they try.
go anywhere.
It makes me want to try to find more about them because it honestly was hard to find any other stuff than the general information of what they do. They're just these little mischievous creatures that cause mayhem and madness. There is another thing, because in different cultures, they're known as different names, but there's a whole big list, and I was just trying to keep it simple. But I kind of like it. I think it's in Serbia. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. They apparently don't like adulterers. So anybody that would come up at night or come out at night and they knew you were an adulterer or a cheater, they would be waiting at the other person's house until you came, and they would attack you. I think I read somewhere where they would make you crawl and run through the woods naked.
Good for them.
Until they came clean to their husband or wife about what they were doing.
So they're good little things.
It almost seems like they can, like, get in your mind. Like, know what you're about to do. Because you said they waited at the other person's house.
Yeah.
So, unless they've been, like, people watching.
Yeah, which that could be, too. I also heard, like, just saw bits and pieces of one saying that if you're out at night, they will grab you and make you dance with them, either until the sun comes up or until you pass out from exhaustion.
They just want to have a good time.
They're just partying. They're on vacation. Little goblin rumspringa.
And then another one, which cracked me up, was if they catch you at night, I mean, keep your butts inside, unless you want to meet a little goblin, they would jump on your back and attach themselves just by holding onto your clothes, or I don't know, but you wouldn't be able to get them off, and you would have to take them wherever they wanted to go all night until the sun came up.
They'd hitch your little ride.
Yeah, ride you like a little piggyback. Piggyback ride.
While they just go around messing, making things stink, peeing in pots.
What happens if you don't? What if you just, like, sit down and you're like, I'm going on strike? Like, I'm...
Well, they're these little devil creatures with, apparently some have really long claws and they have teeth and stuff, so they probably would attack you.
What happens if they're riding on your back and they're like, let's go to this house, and that house has a colander set out, and they start counting? Are you trapped in an infinite loop?
You just have to sit there?
While they go 1, 2, what comes next? And you're like, 3! 3 comes next, you little goblin!
Can you please just get off my back?
1, 2, 1, 2.
You know, honestly, I just think of like Brian and Stewie from Family Guy. Oh. 1, 2. I feel like you're holding your fist like you already want to punch a little goblin in the face.
But
3, you little goblin.
I think one of my favorite things about going through all the different Yuletide creatures, we've all chose something from different places, and I feel like they all kind of tie into each other really well. Like, they all have a lot of similarities, which I like, because it shows the, like...
Where they connect.
Yes.
Yep, I've enjoyed that. They're all different in their own ways, but then there's enough similarities. But we've also had 2 similarities to future episodes in this one, of things we've looked into, which is interesting. How the lore overlaps.
Yeah.
The counting thing always, just out in the open, this is just me, it always is interesting to me, because that's in Fae, in vampires, in goblins, apparently, so I'm just like, what is it about counting?
It just kind of really shows everything's connected. The spirals.
Yeah, the spirals, and there's an origin somewhere. Maybe there's a little truth in it.
Oh,
it all starts with the tree of life. That's why the goblins are trying to cut it down.
But failing at it, thankfully. But they're failing at it.
That is always good. They're failing at that, but they're peeing in your pots. Don't forget.
You're going to start cooking with your lids on your pots.
My lid on.
I wonder if there was anything... Because thinking about them, they pretty much live in the center of the earth with the tree of life.
Yes.
Because, except on the days of Yule.
12 days of Christmas or Yule or...
So, I feel like that can kind of tie into some of the conspiracy of, like, aliens living in the middle of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
But I don't know. That's just what my brain kind of went to.
It is interesting, though, because there is that conspiracy about aliens aren't in outer space there.
No, and here in Kentucky, the Hopkinsville goblins that live in the cave systems.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Little goblins.
And the more you look into it and you find that everything's connected, it does start, like, I gotta look into this more, I gotta look into that more.
Yeah, everything overlaps, and then you go in all those rabbit holes, and then the synchronicities start. And then you're really freaked out.
I think that's what I'm really excited about with this podcast, is going forward. And, like, being able to, once we get a bunch of episodes done, being able to go through and, like, find all the similarities and synchronicities. And
Yes, and I'm excited for the people that are listening. And you can come along this journey with us.
And reach out. Reach out with your own stories. Your own Yuletide stories, or any other stories.
But I definitely think these little mischievous goblins were a great way to end this Yuletide season.
Yes, and the holidays with the little goblins. But they're still here till January 6th.
Yep. Well, to everyone, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Until next time,
Remember, you can find us on
Our own website,
Facebook,
Instagram,
YouTube,
Twitter.
and even Pinterest.
links are in the description.
As always,
Stay weary.
stay leery.
And stay eerie.